and you're paying back 0.2 BTC for fun and profit. So you're practicing arbitrage. Here's how it works. Yesterday, there's this guy who's like, oh yeah, you should take a second mortgage and then short MicroStrategy. That was close, but not quite, because you're talking about a non-secured loan. You're talking about a non-secured loan, and that's what you want to go towards. So starting at the beginning, you want to borrow 0.2 and you want to pay back 0.2. But you want to pay it back in fiat. And you don't want to just willy-nilly ruin your credit score. You want to specifically risk it. So it's hashtag all biscuit, no risk it. Let me repeat that hashtag. All biscuit, no risk it. So you're trying to do an asymmetric trade, whereas if you lose, you're just going to strategically default. Remember, a lot of people are actually trying to play Monopoly, not knowing the rules of Monopoly, which include default. So to finish and wrap, it's borrow 0.2 BTC and then paying back 0.2 BTC, but you're paying back the loan in fiat, in US dollars. Does anybody have any questions? And because this is recorded on video, you can ask me questions via text or email. Practicing arbitrage. Do you like how comfortable I am? Do you guys like how comfortable I am with silence? Because in that silence, I'm not uncomfortable in that silence. I know that you're thinking about the knowledge bombs that I dropped, which is borrowing 0.2 BTC and paying back 0.2 BTC. It's all upside.
It's inflation, right? You're talking about inflation.
You take a crack at what I'm talking about, because you know what I'm talking about.
Just inflation. I mean, you borrow nominally $2, but $2 worth less than when you pay it back, right?
Exactly. And it seems so minuscule, and it won't make you $1 billion, but it's all upside, and it helps you with your FICO, and it's the culmination and specifics of doing things that don't scale. And granted, like, you're not going to make what I make last year, but then you kind of don't deserve to, because you've never practiced arbitrage. And when you practice arbitrage, you get to see that everything is arbitrage. And the reason we're even talking about this is because Bao paid me a great compliment, which is, OMG, you're all about arbitrage. Because Bao and I met in this room called Clubhouse Bets, which is Wall Street Bets, but on Clubhouse. And when Bao paid me a nice compliment, he then told me, and I'm motivationally listening, hashtag motivationally listening, hey Larry, my name's Bao, I have 2 cats. And instead of saying what a normal hetero guy says to another hetero guy, which is, oh my God, you have 2 cats? What's going on with that? I said, hey, have you thought about, like doing some strategic arbitrage things with your cat litter. Hey, Mimi's got a cat, or Wahiba's got a cat. How creepy is it that I can pay attention to the audience for Wahiba's cat named Mimi? She left.
Very creepy.
Super creepy, right? That's also douchebag whispering. Like, we don't accept gifts for us, but if you give a gift to Tom Brady, okay, who am I to say no? Tom Brady's my Shih Tzu. He's like a cat. And so practicing the arbitrage of borrow 0.2, pay 0.2. Practice the arbitrage of buy a 55-pound bag of material that you're going to turn into a 1-pound bag of cat litter, but you're doing so in a non-industrial, organic, woman-friendly thing, and know that a lot of women have cats and they don't kind of know about the ammonium that is in there, and so that's your arbitrage. It's my mentor's recipe, which is how to make money while you make money, or in this case, how to meet women while you're making cat litter. So the business I started before Duck 9, which is deep underground credit knowledge, where you want to get 24 ones in a row to get to a FICO score of 750 to 805. My first business I started was SAT test preparation. But instead of just getting paid $15, $20, or $50 an hour, I decided to try to get paid $125 an hour by guaranteeing a 300-point increase in your SAT, where if they don't get it, they don't pay, but they get a refund. And so that was my first business. And all of my business came from female student athletes who needed a higher SAT score to go to an elite college. So basically it was vagina whispering for their SAT. Hashtag vagina whisperer. And then that business was combined with Duck 9 to help sorority girls with their FICO credit card credit score.
Alright, I'm gonna have to hashtag go and hashtag code. But
Hey Larry, are you in the Bay Area?
Yes. Bow, hey, check back whenever.
yeah, sounds good. Thanks for the credit tip. That was awesome.
It's great, right? Like, it's you're David Rorsheim, but not 2010, 2021.
All right, I'll call you when they say no, or if they say no, and yeah, let's
Text me.
cross my fingers.
Text me your full name now. My cell phone's actually my username. You see it, right? 650.
Yeah, I'll text you. Sounds good.
650-283-8008. Was your question for me?
Any real estate investment tips?
Nope. Maybe one. Maybe one. So if you can, okay, so let's say there's in your city, this has to be in your city, and you have to have good credit, and ideally you have to have a good job for 2 or 3 years. Developers that sell condos, 1 and 2 bedroom condos, they need to sell to real people. They can't keep selling to investors. So you put down a deposit of $1,000 to maybe as high as $4,000 on a condo building that's going to, and this isn't investment advice, this is just entertainment. You put a $5,000 deposit on a condo that's going to be finished, that's new construction, that's currently a piece of dirt, to be ready to move in or close September 2022. So it's not going to be 90 days from now, it's a year from now, because they just broke ground. It's a piece of dirt right now. So you're going to probably move in spring of 2022. But the price is actually locked in, and developers being builders experience delays. So you're not really going to have to pay money in a mortgage or the rest of the money if you're doing all cash, but you're probably not doing all cash because you're young. You won't owe money until you move in, which will probably be fall of 2022. Prices are going up in some markets 5 to 10%. So because we're in a semi-hyperinflation mode, which I think is full inflation mode, your $5,000 can have a huge return because you locked the price of the house in November 2 months ago when I did this. So I'm probably not going to live there because I don't want to live in non-baller housing, but it's still nice, and I'll probably make on the deposit. My deposit was a little bit bigger because I got a 3-bedroom. And it's actually in a nice neighborhood. I just don't think it's the best neighborhood. But I'll probably make $20,000 to $200,000 for the 5 to 10. And that's because I locked in the price. Now you got to be prepared to go to war in case they raise the price, but that's good. You want that, because then your future home will have risen in value. Cool, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
What city do you live in?
San Francisco.
Yeah, this won't work in the Bay Area.
Probably like what, Nevada?
No, don't do that either.
Out of California?
Yeah. It won't work where you live, that's all I gotta say. I mean, it could, but I don't think it will.
Hey Larry, we didn't get a chance to really communicate much yesterday, but before you passed out in that other room that all these folks were in. But I'm curious. I have a good FICO score, but what, if anything, can you do to get a perfect score?
You never wanna trade paying interest for the vanity of 850.
I mean, I typically get 0% for everything at this point. So, I mean, the interest would be that little transfer fee once in a while for a credit card. But that's about it. But I mean, it really doesn't matter if you have an 800 plus score, I guess. But are you giving advice on people who are trying to rebuild their credit? Is that primarily the purpose of your headline?
No, it's just helping like CS majors like that guy Bao go from 0 to 800.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
And
I've learned a lot of the tricks of the trade over the years, so it's a skill actually. You really do have to
right?
trial and error it. It took me, I think, 5 years of real effort to get my credit score to well over 800. But I had to pay attention and figure out, okay, this is the way the game's played. As your income increases, okay, well, how many credit lines do I take out, and continue to ask for credit line increases, not carrying much debt. What's interesting is that they keep tracking around the FICO score, even when I have, like, say, 3% usage on credit cards. It's crazy. When I was getting started, I'd be at 30%, 40%, 50%. Now it's 3%, 1%.
Well, 3%'s
Still
too.
screw with you.
No, 3% is too low, which is why you never want to trade paying interest for a higher score. So 3% is actually too low. Do you even have a car loan? No car loan?
I just got one actually, so I do have one.
Okay. Because a lot of people that don't have a mortgage and have two cars but don't owe money, their actual FICO score drops a ton. And then if you own like multiple houses, your FICO score actually drops because now you have semi-fraud on your home address. Not fraud, but like it looks like you're mooching your parents' house, but you own that other house. The FICO's set up where you owe. This is how to maximize it. You run two cars that you have debt. You only have 3 months of savings in the bank. And then you've got, two revolving credit cards, an Amex and a Visa MasterCard. Like, it's a nightmare. Like, one little slip and your FICO score is dropping 150 points. But that's how to get to 850 or 847 or whatever. I don't think I've ever seen a perfect 850. And it's always a rich dude who's like, yeah, so me and this other guy in my neighborhood, we're competing. How about I pay you like $200,000? Can you get me like 3 extra points? I'm like, you make it 2.25 milli and I'll like go into debt for you in a strategic way.
Just to keep your credit report clean?
No. Just to beat a vanity metric. So a metric that means nothing. So just like they'll pay anything to beat their golf buddy who doesn't even golf anymore and they just sneak on holes. Whatever like exotic. But 0 to 800, like, and then I'll get this a lot. Hey, can you text my daughter because she's 16 and I want her to get a 800 FICO score when she turns 18. Can you spend some time with my daughter? Literally, I'll get grown executives like, here's my daughter's phone number. You got to do that Duck 9 thing because I hear it's great. And it's funny because she's eventually going to be 23 with the same phone number.
Hey, I would just like to thank you. I'm going to leave, but
Cool.
thank you for tips. Hey, Ravi, how's it going?
Hey, Hanley, good to see you, man. It's been ages.
I know. You still in the Bay?
I'm still in the Bay, bro. We'll have to get together post-pandemic.
Yeah, I know. Well, I got my vaccination, so.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, well, let's catch up, brother.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
So Larry, are you a financial planner, or what's your actual background? I didn't catch that. So
I started a business in college that helped people with their FICO credit score. It's called Duck 9. So basically, it helps sorority girls go from 0 to 750, 800.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and nobody knows what the hell to do with a credit card when they're in college. That's for sure. That's
Right?
a little model you got there. Yeah.
Right? So then, I mean, stop me when this story sounds like a cliche of all cliches. But at first, I was helping people get to a FICO of 800. And then enough institutions were like, you're gamifying the system too much. Will you look at our portfolio to do risk mitigation? So that's how we started to buy and sell portfolios of debt, is because we innovated inside of FICO better than FICO did. Because FICO is not about risk mitigation. FICO is a business model for Fair Isaac.
Larry, tell him the truth. You guys created FICO.
No, we didn't. Thank you for over extrapolating. Konya's getting mixed up because we ran an external API to Fair Isaac, and this woman, her name is Sherry St. John. So we ran FICO better than them, and then banks were like, hey, can you do anything with our portfolio if you're so good? And so we took charge-off positions as a hedge. So we were their hedge for default. We were their insurance policy. And so the first bank we did was Gary Wheaton Bank, which is actually across the street from my parents' house. We did their credit underwriting. And then one woman left that bank to work in Hawaii at Bank of Hawaii named Maribel. And then we did Bank of Hawaii, and we literally made them, okay, so the way the deal is structured is the charge-offs are at 6, 7, 8%, some single digit percent, right? And so we would know how to sell a credit card, and we would know your likelihood of default based on your cell phone number underwriting. It's just like a social security number, but it's your cell phone. And so Bank of Hawaii, we proposed, what if we cut your defaults in half, and they're losing like what, 700 million in charge-off defaults, just some regular bank number. And we're like, look, what if we cut your defaults in half, but increased your total receivables? Because in credit card sales, it's not about selling credit cards. It's about the arbitrage of money that you lend out and then money that you collect. And so after we killed it on Bank of Hawaii, I didn't discontinue Duck 9, even though like it doesn't, like you can't, I didn't kill it. But then that's when we started to buy and sell blocks of debt. And then we did Citi. So this is kind of a way to get back to basics. Oh, and then what Konya was talking about. So we would tell people, hey, we're innovating inside FICO scores, right? Because it's an innovation if you use FICO for the original business purpose, which is putting a risk value on your portfolio. That's why they have a monopoly. But then they started to get away from it like all corporations do.
Yes.
So then I got sued, not my company, Larry Chiang, because it was on my social media, where they tried to pierce the corporate veil, which is why when people talk about an LLC, I'm like, if they wanted to, that offers no protection. All it does is advertise that you're gonna screw things up.
Listen up, Sunday.
Yeah. So Fair Isaac came after me specifically and said, you can no longer say FICO at an industry conference that you're speaking at, because, you know, suing the company is one thing, but we're sending a cease and desist to the person named Larry Chiang. And so, you know, I'm a semi-pro paralegal, semi-professional paralegal, where if a paralegal tells me what to do, I'll take notes as if she's the senior partner. Or if the senior partner is charging me $1,300 an hour, I'll pay you an extra 20% and ask you, hey, if I paid you an extra 20%, what does this get for me? Will you tutor me for an extra 20%? So I asked Carl Opedal, I was like, hey, what's the best response for this? And he's like, do you want to go the fun way or do you want to go the right way? I'm like, let's make it right and fun. So in response, I was like, look, I'm friends with Sherry St. John, and because Sherry St. John, you should Google her. It's insulting to call a person who has nice glands as a adult entertainer, but like it was unreal, if you catch my drift. And so I was like, look, whatever Sherry St. John wants me to do, I'll do.